Hey, folks, welcome to a Startup with Ferris live stream. Thank you for tuning in. Today's session is about something that was inspiring. I was inspired by Cal Newport's famous Deep Stack Life, where he lays out a system to overhaul your life and become more effective at what you're doing. He talks about in this one video, he talks about overhauling your life in a span of 4 months and how to do what to do in every month and with specific tasks and specific actions and results. So what I want to work with you on today is how to start your business in 8 weeks. Now, if you've already started your business and you're struggling, you still might find a lot of useful gems here in this live stream, because I'm going over some of the foundational steps and stages that you need to take as an entrepreneur to launch a sustainable and grow a sustainable business. So we'll go through week 1 through week 8 and what time you need to allocate, what challenges you're likely to face, as well as the specific actions to take, as well as the results that you should expect. So, and before we get into it, just a couple of housekeeping items. One is that if you're listening live or watching live or later, you're tuning in later, I'd love to hear from you about the challenges that you are facing as an entrepreneur. I'd love to know how you're dealing with those challenges. Also, the wins you're having, small wins, big wins. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, on any of the social media platforms we're on. If it's something very maybe personal, very private, email me directly. We won't share any of this information, but I'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment on the specific topics you'd like us to cover, because every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, we have this live stream where we cover a specific topic, and then we go into questions, and we have a Q&A session and answer questions that we get from the community. All right, with that in mind, let's get into the 8-week program. All right. So, and I have some slides here we'll share, and some templates that hopefully you'll find useful in your own business as well. So, week 1, what we want to do in week 1 is, and let's make sure we have the slides showing here. All right. The theme for week 1 is to prioritize. I want you to assess where is it that you spend your time, because in my mind, most people I speak with, and I speak with 2 to 3 founders every week, most people have an idea. As a matter of fact, 60 million Americans have ideas, but only like 9%, I believe the last stat I read, actually do something with that idea and turn it into a business. So you have an idea, but I would say the number one reason you haven't started the business is because you haven't truly prioritized the business or the planning for the business. So what we want to focus on in the first week is to identify and help you find gaps maybe in your schedule, or maybe prioritize planning for the business on your calendar. So first thing is, what are maybe the 3 big distractions that we have? So we want to identify and eliminate the 3 distractions. Potentially you want to build, you have to build a lot of muscles in my mind to start a business and grow a business. So one of the muscles you want to learn is to how to say no to things and no to people, because time has to come excuse me, to build and start a business. You need time, and time has to come from somewhere. And if you already have a full-time job, you're already working 45 hours a week, 50 hours a week, and you want to start a business, you have to allocate time. So it's really important to, as I said, first identify in terms of the action where those big distractions are, and 2, start saying no to people politely, gently, of course. And then what is it that you can do on your calendar so that you block time for important things in your life? And starting your own business is going to be very important. So that's those are some actions I want you to think about in the first week. And the last and probably the most important of all of this is also to do a self-assessment, because I want you to look into your hard skills, your soft skills, and also the network of people, because your network and the resources that you have are going to be crucial, critical for you to start a business. So, and we'll share with you, we have a lot of actually templates and tools on our channel at Startup with Ferris, and also we have we have a lot actually on our website at www.startupwithferris.com. But the results that you expect at the end of this 1 week, and I only say 5 hours for this week because I want you to warm up to getting to dedicate time for that, for starting that business. So in those 5 hours, look at your phone and see where is it that you're spending time that you should be probably dedicating to your business. So maybe I'm going to use this example of 5 hours. You can see maybe scrolling a lot on Facebook, on Instagram, what have you, on YouTube, and dedicate or decide, sorry, I want to eliminate 30 minutes of this time that I use this week on things that are really distracting me from starting a business. So that's one action. The other thing is, when you block your calendar, I think that's really important. Everyone has their own schedule, their own, you have family obligations, potentially you have, you if you're working already 8 to 5, 8 to 6, whatever the time is, and then you might have other responsibilities. You might have made some commitments to a nonprofit or whatever the case might be, and then you need personal time. Obviously, sleeping important, also working out, being out there, making sure physically, intellectually, you're challenging yourself. But time has to come from somewhere. So in my own assessment, in what I've done personally, what I've seen other successful people do is some of that leisurely time has to has to give. And I think if you dedicate, I think, 5 hours a week to do these things that I mentioned, including the self-assessment, you'll take that very important step to get the business started. And then when I talk about a self-assessment, really think of it, have a Google sheet or a spreadsheet and list hard skills, things I know very well. Because when you have an idea in mind, the assumption is that you've developed some skills that you want to turn into a service, into a business. It could be accounting, it could be IT consulting, it could be leadership coaching, it could be mentoring, it could be you are maybe a physical therapist and you want to have your own practice. It could be a number of things, but you have some skills that you want to turn into business. So assess all the skills that you've acquired over time. It's really important, because I was just speaking with someone yesterday and said, I've done several things in my life, in my career. I'm not sure how I can turn this into a business. If you've done a lot of things, that's great, because you have a lot of experience. Maybe you're very good with people, customer support. Maybe you're a good listener. That will work well for you in sales. Maybe you're a great project manager. You can execute on things. You can plan and execute on things. So maybe, again, there's technical skills in your domain, and there are obviously soft skills like the ones I just mentioned, including listening, including communication, including maybe organizing. And then your network and your resources, which we'll get to in a second. We have a template that I'll show you as well. So that's week 1, 5 hours to block some time to focus on your business and to do the self-assessment. We move on to week number 2. I want you to dedicate 6 hours week number 2. And this is the time to explore. This is the time to, ideate. And one of the things that I really want you to think, to focus on in week 2 is, and that's probably one of the challenges, especially if you haven't been an entrepreneur before, is connecting, and not connecting with people, and not just any type of people. The challenge is going to be this week is to think of the right people to connect to. Now, here's some of the challenges why is this a challenge? Because a lot of people who want to start a business, they talk to people who never started a business, and they'll get the wrong advice. I was speaking with an entrepreneur, and he was talking to some family members, and they really, all of them have been employed and they have been working for other people all of their lives, so they don't have that entrepreneurial sort of spirit, or that entrepreneurship background. So it's hard to get, I don't think you can get the right piece of advice from someone who hasn't done what you are trying to accomplish. So one of our black belt startup principles is only seek advice from those who have been to where we want to go. So that's why I'm emphasizing this week too, is you have to come up with the list of those who I would call mentors or experts or people in your network who can potentially give you some ideas or maybe give you feedback on the idea that you have. And what I want you to do is use this sheet that we have, and let me pull it up on my screen. Give me just 1 second. And too many screens, of course, and too many tabs. Give me just 1 second here. But the idea here is to think of what I would call the 10+5 method. This is something we have used in our Black Belt Startup course. And the idea here isn't for me to be able to show you this. And I had it ready. 1 second. All right, should be able to see it now. There you go. All right. So basically, you use that first step. The instructions here, basically very simple instructions. Record your findings as you complete vetting your business idea. So you have an idea in mind, right? To map your skills into an offer. So talk to 10 people. Now, people, again, it could be it could be coworkers, ex-coworkers, it could be suppliers, vendors, people in the industry, people you met at different events. Do they have, and ask them, like, I have this idea. I wanna do taxes for nonprofits, or I want to do IT consulting for small businesses, or I want to help companies write better prompts for AI, whatever the case might be. And ask these people, do they have a need for the service that you are planning? And ask them another question here. If you use this spreadsheet on the screen, have they hired, contracted for the service before? Ask them, what do other consultants do well, and what do these consultants miss? And anytime you hear pain points, anytime you hear issues that these people you're reaching out to share with you, when there are gaps in the market, when there are pain points, this is an opportunity for you to shine, because you can go in and offer something that is going to differentiate you. So, for example, if you hear a lot of people say, like contractors have not been responsive to us, so you can then compete on responsiveness, or everyone is too expensive. Maybe you can compete on price. So those are the things you want to be looking for. Is asking, I have an idea, I've done some research, I want to get your input on this idea. So that's one thing, is this 10+5, 10, talk to 10 people who potentially they have knowledge about what you're about to offer, what you're planning to offer, or they've hired people similar to yours in the past. The second thing I want to do is the 10+5. 5 is research 5 competitors. Don't look for someone, if you're a small business, you're starting, don't look at McKinsey, but look at companies who are just maybe the same size or just a bit larger, and check out their websites, check out their social media presence, see what they have on LinkedIn, see if they have reviews about them, and look for the same thing, like how are they packaging their service, what feature they're including, what value is it that they're offering, how they're pricing. Do they have hourly? Is it fixed price? All that information will help you package your own service in a way that's going to differentiate you and help you stand out, right? So again, we have this spreadsheet. We'll add it to the description, to the description of this video, and reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to share this with you. You can make your own copy and start filling this out. So there is some research that is important, but that's going to help you vet your idea better, because a lot of people, and this is according to a book I read last year, Why Startups Fail, and it is one of the main reasons is that people misjudge market demand. Sometimes these people, they love this idea, they're passionate about an idea, they think everybody's going to buy it, and people end up not buying because maybe the competitors are, it's a very established marketplace, there are a lot of incumbents, and whatever the case might be. So do your research, and the results out of this is that you've identified, you've gathered a lot of input from the 10 people you spoke with, and then from the competitor research, and you have a much better understanding of the marketplace. And then potentially, as you've done this research, especially if you spoke with some friends, you might have underscored yourself on maybe some skills. You didn't know, maybe you were doubting yourself whether like you're really good in customer support and maybe in listening, and people maybe highlighted that you are really a good listener. So talking to others, especially if they know you well and they've worked with you, will help you improve, I think, your own self-assessment, and then also will help you uh, fine-tune the idea and be ready to get closer to marketing and selling the idea. Okay, so that's week 2. Now, week 3, we go into marketing, into getting the foundational aspect of a business, both on the legal front as well as on the marketing front. So there's challenges you'll find there in this week 3 is, give me one second. Yeah, is that a lot of people spend a lot of time on building the website or thinking of their business name or branding. You really don't have to worry a lot about this. Uh, the name of the business is important. Registering the business legally is important, but you shouldn't take weeks on this. I said you do all of this here in my approach in uh, in 1 week, and I said 8 hours week 3. So do a little bit of research. You can go online and register for the company. You can find legal help through some of the online resources. You can find maybe a lawyer that you have worked with in the past. They can give you maybe some special pricing for a new, for a new entrepreneur. But don't put a whole lot of effort. Don't spend weeks thinking of the name and the brand and the tagline and building this custom, highly customized website. I think you want to have something professional. You want to have a solid foundation in terms of your name and image and all that. But don't spend a lot of time at home thinking about all this stuff. Just do the bare minimum that will give you a professional presence. And then I want to, which will be week 4, to do more things in terms of interacting with people. But for now, in terms of the action you need to do is decide on the type of business entity you want to do, whether it's going to be an LLC or an S corp, or stay, maybe you want to stay as a sole proprietor. You can find this stuff online. You can, there are a lot of YouTube videos on this topic. I won't spend a lot of time on it. You can ask Chat GPT, but I would recommend that you speak with a professional. I think they'll help you, both a CPA, the CPA type and the legal type, and they'll give you a good recommendation on what to do next, both legally and also from a taxation perspective. So especially if you haven't had a business before, again, this is, a lot of people overthink this legal aspect of it. A lot of people overthink, I think, the branding and the website. I think you want to have something professional. You want to have, obviously a solid legal foundation, but don't spend a lot of time on it. And in terms of, I think, the basic online, I would say, again, don't use @Gmail. Invest in a domain name that's going to cost you whatever, $20 a year, and then make sure. And we have some content on our website in terms of how to do all of that. So follow up with us if you can find it. And then we have actually some videos on the channel as well. And then in terms of social media, I see some founders, they're trying to be all over social media on every other platform. I would say my recommendation initially, unless you're already active on social media and really producing great content on all these channels, and you're just gifted at doing things on Instagram, I would say focus your effort on maybe 1 or 2. Like LinkedIn maybe should be, in most cases, should be very professional and well done. And then maybe if you're active on X or on Facebook or on Instagram, stick with 1, possibly 2, and just make sure you produce quality content for the business now. Okay, so that's week number 3. Moving on to week number 4. So let's make sure we have this slide there. So week number 4, I want to spend a little bit more time, 10 hours, and this is going to be on sales. So I'm kind of mixing sales and marketing, not mixing, I'm bundling sales and marketing together here. But the idea here is that just because you're an amazing guy or gal, and just because you're a subject matter expert in whichever area of business you're building, it doesn't mean that customers will come your way. So, and even if you have the most amazing website and you have great content and all of that, so part of entrepreneurship, part of having your own business is to sell. You have to market, you have to sell. And that's going to be hard for a lot of people who haven't been involved in sales, me included. 20 years ago, when I was laid off and I started my very first business, I had zero background in selling to small businesses and going out there and knocking on doors and trying to convince people in 2003 to buy websites. That was like a huge thing at the time. But you learn it. There are ways to learn this. And we have a lot of content on our website. We have actually, for services and consulting, a huge resource center on all things related to sales. You can check it out, and you can check out our sales playlist on the channel. But for now, this week 4, you have to learn the basics of sales. So especially if you haven't done it before. So investing a little bit of time in learning this concept of sales is not a dirty word. So, it's me as a consultant, as a service provider, I'm helping business owners with a pain point. I'm helping others solve a problem. So think that kind of mindset, in my mind, that mindset shift that you have, that I'm there to help you solve a problem. So no one else is going to sell for you. So you can, if you have a budget, you can hire someone to sell for you. You can hire a lead generation company. There are a lot of ways to get leads. But my approach, our framework at Startup with Ferris, is I want founders to, you can't outsource things initially. You have to really do it all by hand. You have to learn it. You have to get your feet wet. You have to roll up your sleeves and get into the thick of it and learn it. And then you can potentially outsource it. You can potentially hire for it, whatever function in the business. But initially, if you don't get your feet wet and you don't do sales on your own, how are you going to discern who a good sales candidate is? So I want you in this week 4 to get over this fear of this idea of marketing and selling. Again, there's a bit of learning there that has to happen. We have a free course on blackbeltstartup.com that covers a lot of this. We have obviously the membership, but we also have our sales and marketing playlist on the channel. Please check those out, and you can how to do demos, how to pitch in a formal setting, how to pitch in an informal setting. So make sure you spend a little bit of time that week 4 learning about sales. But I want you, if you're serious about starting a business in 8 weeks, what you got to do in week 4 is to start meeting people and start letting them know about your service. So one thing you can do that is you can email people. You can cold email them. You can cold call them as well. Cold calling is difficult for most of us, for a lot of us, but maybe it's something you want to do, or maybe at least you can email people. So you can go within your network on LinkedIn or wherever you have people that you've maybe done business with before, or they trust you, they've left a positive impression on. Those are the people you can email them and say, hey, I've started a business. Here's my area of expertise, and here's what I can help. Do you have a need for this service, or do you know someone else who you can point me to? It might be hard to send that first email, but as you do more of this, I think you'll build that sales muscle. And then the other thing I want you to do is to attend an event in person, not online, not on Zoom, not on Google Meet. I want you to find an event in wherever you are. It could be a Chamber of Commerce event. It could be a BNI event. It could be an SBC, a Small Business Center event. It could be within, if you live in a maybe bigger city, there could be like an industry-specific conference. Find free or low-cost events, and I want you to be there, and I want you to go there and tell people what is it that you do, and what problems you solve. So it might be really hard to do it, especially if you haven't done sales before, if you haven't been out there before. But if you are serious about starting a business in 8 weeks, there's no escape. There are no shortcuts to this. You have to be out there meeting people. And trust me, it'll get easier over time. And then after you've done it for several times, and once you see the benefits and you see the leads and you qualify those leads and they buy from you, then you end up enjoying it. Or maybe it comes to a point where you're making money now. And if you really just dislike it, then you can maybe hire someone for it. But I want you to do it initially. You have to be out there talking to people and listening to their problems and their pain points and their desires and what they want to accomplish. Because without that, you're in a way living in your own mind and not aware of the market around you. Okay, in terms of the results, what we want to accomplish at the end of week 4 is that you've attended one event, and then you've contacted, you've emailed 5 people, or maybe you called them, and then you start to think about sales and marketing. Like, what else can I do? And we'll get to that in the weeks to come. All right. So, uh, moving on to week 5, and this is where, as you've talked to people, as you have emailed folks, it's time to also iterate. But you want to iterate and iterate fast, because we want to get this business launched. I want you to get to that first customer, in this period. So you might have certain ideas about the offer. You might have a certain idea about the pricing, maybe your hourly pricing, or maybe the project-based pricing that you have, or maybe um, the niche, the segment you want to go after. And after you start to engage with other people, you might find that, you know what, I'm thinking to charge $120 an hour. And then when I'm speaking with others and when I research my competitors' websites, I notice everybody's charging 200. So maybe I can raise my hourly to 175, or vice versa. Maybe I thought, I have 15 years of experience in X, whatever it is, and I want to charge $300 an hour. Well, maybe initially, when you look around, everybody's charging 250. So maybe you want to go down to 250, or maybe 225, so you have a bit of an edge, right? So you want to iterate, you want to review whatever, whether it's the pricing or the packaging or the specific audience that you're going after. Those are things you want to review and maybe reassess. And then you might be thinking, I've done some work in healthcare, and let's say I do accounting, and I want to set up my own accounting business. So you go and start to leverage your network in the healthcare sector, and you maybe decide, you know what, I'm going to go in and niche down and just focus all of my outreach effort going forward. It's going to be on people in the healthcare sector. So again, as as you talk to people, as you research online, as you're learning about these things, you'll be able to, potentially, I want you to think, you might not have to iterate, but typically you're refining, again, your offer, you're refining your pricing, you're refining maybe the way you want to go about it. And also, some of it is it's a trial and error, and that's totally okay. You might sell a project in the future that is hourly, and then decide to change your pricing model. You might include 7 things in your deliverables. Now, when you sell something in the future, you might cut this down to 3 things, right? So talking to people, being out there in these networking events, and also, starting to really get an understanding of the marketplace and the competitors and what they're doing, will help you refine your approach. So in terms of what to do in this specific, in terms of the specific outcome, what I want you to do here is also look at your own financials. So now we're getting closer to generate revenue. Now, it might take me 3 weeks to generate the first sale. It might take me 3 months, depending on the number of factors, how much time you're putting into it, the complexity of your service. But one of the things I wanted to also to focus on in week 5 is to look at your own financials and the resources that you have and the resources that you can put in this business, and develop a financial runway. Ideally, ideally a 6-month runway. So this way you have, hopefully, maybe you have some savings, or maybe you have a business partner who's putting in some money into the business, but you can look at your personal expenses, your business expenses, understand that breaking point where, or break even point, and work towards it. And it might take you 3, 4, 5 months to get there. But having this financial runway, and we have a full video, we have a live stream on the financial, building your own financial runway. We'll put the link in the description. But basically, I want you to spend a little bit of time. I think it's about an hour worth of video where I walk you through how to build your own runway. And the reason why I want you to focus on it in week 5 is once you have the financials sort of in order, or at least you understand, okay, you know what, I have 3, 4 months, or I have 6 months before I can generate revenue. I think that will give you, consciously, subconsciously, will give you that a bit of peace of mind, because then it'll give you peace of mind because, okay, I've got the rent covered, I've got these must-have, these expenses that, tuitions for kids, whatever the case might be, all of that is in order. Then I can focus on the business. So this financial runway exercise is really important because it'll give you peace of mind, and then you can focus on and meeting the targets you have in the financial runway. So that is part of what we want to do this week. Now, moving on, we have 3 more weeks: week 6, 7, and 8. In week 6, you'll see here, I'm expecting, or I'm recommending that you put 15 hours more time into it, and I really want you to do a lot more. Let's go to move 6. Let's move to week 6 here in, more outreach. So kind of, I don't want to say more of the same, but I do want you to spend a lot of time sending out emails. I also want you, hold on 1 second. I want to show you something on my screen. No, here you go. 1 second. Yeah. I want you to spend some time identifying people that you can speak with. And I have this template here. Again, we'll make this, where is, right here. Let me add it to the stage. Yeah, right here. So if you look at this, the networking outreach template, think of everyone you know. So former colleagues, former bosses, supervisors, clients, customers, vendors, suppliers. Let me make this larger. Connections from maybe conferences and industry events you've attended before. Obviously, your LinkedIn connections. And again, if you're just starting, or maybe you're just younger and haven't been around a lot and you don't have a whole lot of connections, this is the time to build connections. If you're in college or just a recent graduate, your professors, your advisors, maybe your your colleagues, in college, or the whatever club you were part of in college. All of those are people that you want to potentially reach out to. And I know for those of us who haven't been in marketing or in sales, there's maybe like a psychological barrier, like, I'm going to be asking people for help. My folks, my friends, everyone gets help. Everyone asks, all of us, no one made it without the help of others. And a lot of the people out there who have made it and are successful in business and life, they don't mind helping out, but we have to do some outreach. And I'm not suggesting you bug people and you email them. Excuse me. You email them, twice a day, and 6 o'clock in the morning, or 10 o'clock at night. But no, you reach out to people, you tell them where you are, make it easy for them to help you. Say, hey, I started a business. Here's the audience I'm going after. Here's what I'm offering. Do you know someone that could help, right? So make it easy for people to make introductions for you. But again, go in, I think, this exercise of people that you have interacted with. And again, you see this list here. Feel free to use it, make a copy of this document. And then the list is long, professional industry associations, neighbors, local community, nonprofits, family members, friends, religious, spiritual community, Now, if you volunteered, as I said, in nonprofits, if you work out at the gym, there are people out there. Uh, Hopefully, again, part of this whole exercise is to help you build this muscle of you becoming a billboard for your business, because no one else will be. It's you. It's on you. You cannot outsource that. You have to be the one who's super excited about this business, who's passionate about growing the business and telling everybody about it. Now, you don't have to be obnoxious about telling people about your business, but when the time is right, as you have a conversation with people, hey, and by the way, I just started my own business and here's what I'm trying to do, or I'm thinking to start my own business. So again, we have some videos. If you go to our sales playlist, we have some videos on how to pitch informally, formally. Like this, you're talking to someone, at the gym. So there's a nice way of presenting this, and there's an obnoxious way to do it. So check out those videos on this. But what I want you to focus on at this phase is to really do expand, amplify that outreach that you've done earlier. And let me go back to the yeah, and then and you'll see better results. So week 6 is we're building up our list of leads. We are talking to other people. We are attending more networking events. And I want you to track, and we have, again, another, I know there's a lot of resources here, but we'll include them all in the description. I want you to start to track every interaction, every name every person you speak with, every email you send. I want you to track it in a spreadsheet. In the future, when you have your business and you start to have a lot more leads, I want you to invest in a CRM. But for now, you can we have a video called DIY CRM, and we have a spreadsheet on to help you track every row as an individual you spoke with or you met or you emailed, and then track more information about them so that you can follow up and you can nurture them to become hopefully a paying client in the future. So that's week 6. Week 7. Now, week 7, especially if you're starting this now and it'll be around the holiday season, week 7 is I want you to actually rest a little bit. So it's going to be only 5 hours. I want you to reflect. Reflection is important in business. Big companies, they do quarterly reviews, monthly reviews, whatever. But as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, it's also important to take a little bit of time, because in the previous week, I had asked you to work 15 hours, 20 hours on top of your full-time job. I'm assuming you have a full-time job. Now, if you don't have a full-time job and you have bandwidth, you can expedite a lot of what we're talking about here if you put in more hours into it. But assuming you've been working, 45 hours a week or something like that, and then you're adding 15 hours to plan and start this business. So week 7, I want you to reflect on everything that has been taking place over the last few weeks. And then I also want you, from all these conversations that you've had, you might have identified 1 or 2 people who you think are qualified. They've shown interest. Oh yeah, you're an IT consultant. Yeah, I'm a board member on this private school, or this I own a business and my Wi-Fi is always up and down. I don't have any antivirus software on my computers, and I'm afraid of hacking. So maybe you can come in and say, okay, I mean, that's a qualified lead, because they have problems that you as an IT consultant can solve. So I want you in this week to have identified by now at least 1 qualified lead, and then you send them a proposal. Now, if you haven't sent a proposal before, that is okay. Search online. There are tons of proposal templates. We have some on our website as well. Let me know if you don't have one. But the idea is to identify, aside from all the legal stuff that a proposal should have, but basically you're saying, here's what I heard, the problem that you have. Here's how I'm going to solve it for you. Here are the deliverables. Here's the time frame, and here's the amount. And the amount could be hourly. I estimate it will take me 20 hours at $150 an hour. So it's going to be $3,000. And you pay me 50% upfront, and then 50% when you're done and you're happy. That's really what's involved in a proposal. And again, we have templates on that. Let us know if you're looking for one. So that's so spend most of this week reflecting on what you've done in the last 6 weeks, and then still do some work. So send 1 proposal to a qualified lead that you have identified. They might not buy from you right away, but the idea is you got into this habit of identifying the qualified leads, doing some follow-up, and then sending a proposal. And then we move on to the last week here, week 8. And this is where the proposal you sent, or maybe a couple of proposals you sent, one of them decided to go with you and they signed up with you, and now they want you to deliver what you sold. This is when the real work starts. So in this week, you want to spend a lot of time getting ready and starting to deliver on what you sold. And there's a whole lot of process of delivery, and we have a lot of content actually on our website on delivering a service, starting with onboarding the client. So check out those articles again at www.startupwithferris.com. And you'll be, I want you to spend most of your time, now that you have your first client, I want you to spend most of your time, I would say 75% of your time, delivering and taking care of this first client. You want to bend over backwards for them. You want to make sure they're super delighted, because they will be a testimonial. They'll be a reference for you. They will refer clients to you in the future. You cannot afford to have unhappy clients, especially early on. So spend most of your time, I would say, if you want me to quantify it, 75% of your time on this, on delivering to what you sold, because maybe you don't have any documentation, any templates, any checklists. So there's a lot of things you have to prepare for, when you go to deliver the service to a client. Like, what information do I need from the client? What access do I need? What kind of communication method I'm going to be using with them? Am I going to meet with them in person or online? So all of those things have to be figured out as part of your delivery. And it's not something that you had to prepare for before, because initially, up till week 8, I wanted you on purpose to focus on sales, on marketing and sales. And then once you have that first sale, you can start thinking about how to deliver, how to make sure the client is happy. All right. So that is it. So we went over 8 weeks from having an idea to actually identifying times on our calendars to focus on planning for the business. Because again, if you haven't really started a business, and that's something you wanted to do forever, you've been wanting to start your own business, the number one reason you haven't started is because you have not prioritized this idea and planning for that business. And we talked about identifying where maybe you're spending a lot of time. All of us do that on the phone, leisurely activities. That time has to come from somewhere. So you have to shave off some time from maybe whatever is distracting you from focusing on something that's really important, where you can establish a business, grow it to be very sustainable, very profitable. That's what we do here. We help we help entrepreneurs grow to 7 and 8 figures and build scalable businesses that eventually they can enjoy the profits, from it. They can sell it. They can achieve their life dreams. But starting a business requires a lot of commitment up front. And hopefully this model we gave you today, the 8-week model, will help you get started and then get to that first client in this 7-8 week period. If you have any questions or comments, let us know. Happy to answer those. If you need access to any of these checklists, we'll make sure, and these templates we talked about, we'll have them in the description. And then don't hesitate to reach out to us on any of the social media platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you next week.